Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So we are back again with Sulla. I know, madness. So I just wanted to share a replay that we had of the last battle on the stream I did on Saturday. And I was playing with 3 other people from the stream, and it just turned into an awesome battle with Sulla. So I just thought I'd share the replay, and yeah, we'll go and have a look at it. It was pretty fun, so that's why I thought we might be enjoyable to watch. On a bit of Teutoburg Forest. So let's load in. Yeah, so if you don't know, obviously I don't stream very often, but every now and then I do have a stream occasionally, sort of a couple of times a month normally. And yeah, we did on last Saturday, so be sure to subscribe to me and follow me on Twitch if you want to, and then you should get a notification when I start streaming, because obviously I don't have a consistent schedule or anything like that. So I was teamed up with the rest of the people on our team, obviously from the stream. Ferocity, Rose is around somewhere. There he is with his light artillery, and Ronin down in the bottom with his barbarian infantry. So initially I just move up to the capture point, because it seems the logical thing to do on Teutoburg Forest, although if you watched my patch video you'll know that this watchtower and the one on the other side is going to be removed very shortly on Thursday in the patch, so you know it's all going to change slightly, this map. And initially we get observations. You know, the enemy have got some war elephants, javelins, and a handful of infantry sort of pushing around the centre but not really making any definitive move forwards. But quite a lot of stuff down there, so I'm just loitering around here at the start, partly covering the light artillery, but mostly just because there's nowhere really, no frontiers have really opened up where it seemed like a good opportunity for me. Obviously I wouldn't want to be pushing across this open land here, that's just asking for trouble, and well, there's really no one down that side on friend or foe, so there's a couple of enemy cavalry down here. Ronin's down there giving everyone a bit of trouble, trying to hide in the forest, I think, to maybe get an ambush off some of these cavalry. Who activate infiltration by the looks of it on their Gungnir charges, so they're Arminius. And again, at the same time, nothing really happening here. Some of these elephants start to make a push across the centre. Get many volleys of javelins in the opening engagement. But it looks like we have some tier 6 Velites with us, and really that was just a bit of a poor choice there by that elephant player, because it's really going to end here in the wrong way. I noticed this cavalry coming down, obviously trying to use infiltration, but I'm blocking up the passage. Since he's just running right in front of me, I decided I might as well use the javelins. You know, you get a good bit of damage on it. It's worthwhile throwing for a couple of thousand damage, particularly against cavalry like that. So we just get that off. And again, you know, I'm still sat here waiting. I don't really want to be running down to get into a fight with the elephants. There's not really a lot of benefit to that. I don't have a vengeance or anything like that to help me. I'll just take a lot of casualties and not really do a lot. There are these armoured legionaries though, and more stuff pushing across the river. So maybe I should be thinking about doing that a bit more. But then, in time, I noticed that enemy cavalry and infantry is starting to move up here. So I come down, I throw some javelins into the back of the Greek cavalry, and I start to come down into these legionaries here. So this is kind of a bit of an important point. So this is where Sulla separates himself from Germanicus. So let's just go half the time. So, these are kind of my options. I'm pushing down the hill, I'm pushing 1 unit down while keeping 2 other units held back. I want to meet these guys down here because as soon as I engage them, I want them to activate their vengeance. That's what I want. They go form combat, fine. They give me a stab, strange order. Then they go for vengeance. That's exactly what I wanted. I did actually check, but I assumed they activated it on all units, which they did. And that is exactly what I'm looking for, because then I go for my whip. I should have used a strike first to create a bit of room between myself and the unit, but I didn't, which is a bit silly. But then I whip to get that speed to try and pull away. And that's what I'm trying to use Sulla for. Sulla has that extra mobility, and I'm trying to pull out of this guy's vengeance. Obviously, I wanted to meet him at the bottom of this slope, so it gives me enough time to clear the top of the slope and not have to disturb my light artillery. You know, if I held them here, I'd have to run over here to get far enough away. But as you'll see, what I'm trying to do is I'm pulling out now, so they've lost their engagement modifier. I've only got to wait 10 seconds. I'm constantly watching the flag identifier on the enemy unit, waiting for the goes, and there it's gone. So that means they've now lost vengeance. Their vengeance was completely wasted, and they've got like a 300-second cooldown. And now I can easily and happily engage them, just like that. They went for a bit of a charge, a little bit of damage in the initial charge, but then I can go in, activate my fortify, start getting my whips down, and ultimately they are sort of guaranteed to have lost this now, because there's really nothing they can do against Sulla in this sort of situation. Once he's settled into his, his role, he will start to rack up the damage, and they will start to be losing. I get my flanks because they nicely blob for me. Just makes it all a bit easier. And now you see that, you know, we start to rack up a lot of damage in them, and we really aren't taking much damage at all from any of these guys. One of them routes, just to top it off. And this is why you can bait Germanicus out. This is why Sulla, in my opinion, is a more flexible commander than Germanicus. While Vengeance is great, you know, ultimately, a good Sulla player can bait out a Vengeance like that. And it's very hard for a Germanicus player to really do a lot about that. And because there's no there's no ability like Hannibal's had Portus. Once you activated it, you feel like you're committed to a fight. Same with Vengeance. Whereas obviously Sulla, all his abilities are short term. Nothing feels like it's a waste once you have it on. Obviously, I've also got my prescription activated on one unit, so you know the melee attack of these guys is just so minimal, 68, and ultimately he dies. So I turn off my fortify and basically smash straight down the hill. Blobbed up, not a good form in that sense, but I was just trying to just get down. These guys are completely surrounded. I thought I could get the rear flanking modifiers pretty easily. And I wasn't expecting to take much in the way of damage. We go for strike, and we get a massive amount of damage in that strike because we'd pushed right into them. So things are going well. A good amount of opening damage in this game. 4,000 points. Quite a lot of support points from all the stuff we've done. And obviously we're just finishing these guys off, and we don't take any casualties really doing this. You know, fighting with a prescription and a full fortify against an unvengeance unit is only going to go one way for them. And it just results in very little damage for us, because they just don't have the melee attack capability to actually land any hits on me. So, good. So we've completely eliminated those tier 6 Roman infantry. And really we're in relatively good form from it. So we get more stuff pushing up over the hill. Come more legionaries. So I form ranks, start to push on. I'm thinking about our base now, because there's quite a bit of stuff in our base. For us, he looks like he's having a bit of a tough time there. And yeah, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? It's going to be a bit of a tough one, and we need to think about getting back, because we're going to get capped out pretty quickly if we're not careful. And we really haven't got a lot coming back to defence. That's my primary sort of initial sort of thoughts. So I split my two units. I just send one into the back of this guy because there's a bit of a good fight going on down here. It's even a shame not to get involved entirely. And then just pushing the rest of my two good health units on through the forest, trying to take the shortest way. I should be whipping myself to get as quickly as I can across this land. Obviously, whip gives you that movement speed. Things are getting dangerously close at this point. I was really starting to panic. A little bit of a volley of some stuff comes in into the back of this Testudo and gets a couple of bits and points knock off, which is what I need. I was really thinking, oh god, what am I going to do here? How are we going to get the decap? Thankfully, these javelins come forwards to try and get a volley off me, which enables me to get into range, and I throw my javelins and get the decap. Those javelins, if they'd ran to the back out of my peeler range, then they would have actually probably won that. That was a massive mistake on this guy Dendy's part. Now, I'm taking a bit of a tough one, because obviously these javelins are all still alive and going to be getting a lot of damage on me, which they are. Look at the amount of damage I take from a rear flanking of a javelin. I'm then just really got no choice but to commit to this fight and just try and get some damage up on these units in front of me. I should have activated my fortify, which I do, and I'm starting to bring up my next unit. It's a bit unfortunate Sulla's dead, obviously, so while prescription is still activated on here, I don't know if it activates on the enemy. Yeah, so even though Sulla's dead, prescription is staying activated until I actually turn it off. That's kind of a little bit of almost of a bug, because prescription really should end when Sulla dies. Because you should lose your ultimate ability once your commander is dead. You know, these guys, obviously they're not dealing much damage because they've got prescription activated on themselves, which is lowering their melee attack, but they have really high abilities from their fortify, and this guy doesn't have a vengeance activated, so, you know, we don't really have to worry too much about taking any damage from him. And as you can see, we basically take nothing. Oh, there we go, a couple of hits there, but, you know, we've done 2,000 for him for 170. And then our other unit comes up, and we're just clearing out our base now. You know, this battle's starting to tip in our favour, although it's still pretty close. There's less than, you know, it's like 40 points in it. Could really still go either way with a bit of a bad play. But mostly I'm just decapping. This is accruing me a lovely amount of decap points. Doing pretty well on the aggression, just over 2,000 aggression, a few defense points, quite a lot of support points, and 3,000 cap points, up to 8,000 points now. So, obviously I turn off my fortify, because you get a massive movement speed negative modifier by having fortify activated, so we don't want that on. And then I start to think about, I was thinking, should I leave a unit here just in case? But then I thought, really, what's the point in going up with one unit? No, let's go with it all. Because a couple of other people were leaving some stuff loitering around, so I thought there wasn't really a lot of point. A unit of slingers. And there's no longer a unit of slingers. So I'm thinking now about pushing across the centre. We don't exactly know what the enemy's got. At this point, we knew we couldn't see. We just saw the 3 question marks. So there was an assumption it was artillery, and then we heard a boulder slamming somewhere around us, so we knew that it was probably going to be enemy artillery. And then it was just a case of hunting it down. I think we noticed a bit of a stone coming out of this forest down here, which is what our cavalry went to investigate. And sure enough, I think we're about to find a unit. Oh, they got charged. Oh, I see those Gungnir charges. So they push up into this artillery, which is hiding in this little clump of grass down here. And I'm just starting to push across the centre. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I didn't know if there was going to be, when they found this, they only found one unit. I didn't know if there was going to be another unit here and maybe here of artillery at this point. So I was continuing to push up, and I was half thinking as well, maybe I should be just as well pushing onto their base cap, because that would at least allow me to gain a few extra base cap points. Because obviously while I'm at the maximum points for decapping, I can still collect capture points. So I thought, that could be a worthwhile thing to be doing. As the rest of our troops push up on here, they find the other unit of artillery. And obviously I still expecting them to be another unit of artillery, because both these two units of artillery spread out, but neither of them had any infantry defending them, so I assumed that the player didn't have any artillery at all. So I thought, there's probably another one, but I'm just going to push on the base. I can't bother to chase a unit of artillery around the map. Even with whip, it's still a bit painful at times. But then, to my surprise, I find that these guys actually got his unit of infantry just sat here in base. I guess he was trying to prevent a cap, but he was probably better off defending some of his artillery. So it's a unit of armoured legionaries, Scipio legionaries, a bit different, although we've got a battle of the week coming with that, if it's not already been released. So I just send one unit around the back. Obviously I just want to wedge him on both sides. We get slammed in. Obviously immediately first things first, he has a prescription put straight back on him. You know, it means he's going to really struggle to do a lot of damage, to be honest, other than through his strikes, which is obviously where he gets the bulk of his damage. A few cavalry come in and get a bit of damage. I'm getting my fortifies activated, trying to get my whips, trying to get a bit more stable on my damage as we bring the other unit in on the rear. We get the rear flank, which obviously doesn't really help in terms of that much, and particularly, of course, you know, he does get, obviously with his Oath of Perseverance, he's getting his 10% melee attack bonus with high morale, and obviously we're never going to get him to rout, because his just morale from Oath of Perseverance is just very, very high. It gives him like plus 120, 109, plus 109 morale. I mean, you're never going to rout that. But as you can see, we are pretty easily out damaging him. He tries to go for a bit of a charge forward, but you know, it's not really going to help him. We've got him wedged. I've got my fortify activated. This is what Sulla's just perfect in this sort of situation, where there's no vengeance activated. Sulla can just slog away, and Sulla's always going to win in this sort of fight. This is Sulla in a nutshell. Just this slow, slogging fight. He doesn't do any obscene amounts of damage super quickly, anything like that, but he just fights on, he crews up the damage, stacks up the damage, more and more and more, and this is just what he is perfect about. And as you can see, you know, we're taking 1,000 damage, he was up to 12,000 damage, so that's just kind of what he's perfect at. Obviously, it's a bit hard to land hits on him as well, because he's got Oath of Perseverance, so I'm kind of only really getting any decent amount of damage once I get whip activated. As you can see, then I accrue up a little bit of damage, because that increases my melee attack. But again, it's just a case of working him down, and I'm not taking any damage myself. I'm crewing up a lovely amount of points as we gain a bit more from aggression, and we're getting all these extra cap points. We're well up over 11,000 points now. And we're slowly starting to camp out the enemy base as well, as we just slowly continue to finish him off. This is the last unit in the game, it's just a case of finishing this guy off, crewing up a few more points. I keep using my stabs and things like that to get as much damage as possible. And do we make it to 12,000? I think maybe we do, just about. Yes, we just make it to 12,000 twice. I am such a point whore sometimes. But yeah, that was a really nice final battle that we had at the end of the stream last night. I'm recording this Sunday morning. So yeah, and it was really good fun to play with everyone on the stream. We had a really good turnout, so that was really great. It's always nice when everyone supports me on the stream. You know, makes them all the more enjoyable to have good numbers of attendance. So yeah, that is Sulla in a nutshell. I thought that was a pretty good game for Sulla. Kind of demonstrates how he works, particularly the baiting vengeance. That's really what you've got to be doing, because Sulla's good, but he won't really go toe to toe against a vengeance Germanicus. Ultimately, you will be losing, or you'll certainly be taking very heavy casualties doing it. So if you can get into a situation like that where you can bait them into using it and then pull out, the only difference should be that I should have used my strike first, because it causes a bit of knockback, and that would have given me a bit of a clearer run to then retreat off without getting so caught up in a couple of my units. But yeah, Sulla, absolutely excellent commander, highly recommended. I've got him pretty much fully upgraded now, with my helmet and everything, because this helmet carries over to the next unit, so I thought it might as well get it unlocked. So now I'm just pretty much grinding towards the Centurions. So, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, obviously, for lots more Total War Arena content. And I shall see you on the next video.